The protest turmoil and chaos in Iran may seem like it happened overnight, but it was long in the making.
It sure was. Experts now say the Iranian regime has never been closer to collapse. So let's take a look at what sparked the protest and the government's response. It's important to remember, Lucas, this began with shop owners in Tehran.
Right. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. John Soto, this is SotoCast. Taking a look at Iran, probably one of the biggest stories right now going on. Are we going to get involved? What's going to happen? We don't know. We're going to take a look and see what Fox has to say about this one.
About the economic conditions. You had spiraling inflation, lack of basic products, systemic corruption, and that inflation, 42% against a devaluing currency in that country.
Yeah, remember when inflation?
Really quick, though. One of the left's, one of the right-wing, one of the progressive wing talking points right now is that this is a purely economic crisis going on. Yes, they have astounding inflation. Yes, they're experiencing extreme poverty, but they're going to pivot off of essentially basically saying that this is a mismanagement thing, nothing to do with the repressive regime or the fact that that women can't be free, that all the things that they love, and that's an amazing thing. You would think this would be a progressive issue, the fact that these people are so stymied in their everyday living. But no, they're not going to take that point because they just don't like the West. And as long as this regime is anti-West, then they can't go in there and say, yeah, we don't like regimes like this because of X, Y, Z. They have to just say the people are poor, they're rising up out of poverty, and blah, because they got nothing else.
Inflation went up to 9% in the United States. We're talking about 42% here. The real 1.4 million reals to every $1 American dollar. So you essentially need a wheelbarrow to go shopping, Griff.
Yeah, you do. And of course, salaries dropping for the residents. And, the response from the regime has been really
violence.
Unbelievable. Not only violence, but you've got these $7 monthly payments to the population, which is like, how do you feed your family with that? But the internet blackouts was the key there. Obviously, the violence carried out against the protesters. If the world can't watch, but yet with Starlink and other people in country, they've been able to get it out, and these protests continue. Let's bring in retired four-star general, Air Force General, and former NATO Supreme Allied Commander Philip Breedlove. General, what do you make of where these protests are happening and President Trump's response?
And here's where it gets a little bit sticky. What information are we getting? How are we getting it? That's going to be a sticking point from now until the end of time, because people are leery. People don't want to be fooled again for the millionth time. With the advent of AI, then you have, I think it was with Brett Baer, one of the leaders of Iran, essentially saying that Mashhad is going out there and shooting people, and to say that they're doing it. Probably don't believe that, but that's the problem. What do you believe? Now, obviously, sunlight best disinfected. So the question, the images that we're getting out, a lot of them seem to be relatively authentic. You have what looks to be like people in an official capacity that are just mowing down crowds of people with automatic rifles. So obviously, this is probably going on. But again, what people have to understand is that, like, people on not even the MAGA side, the liberal side, any center to the right people, they're very, very concerned because we don't want to get into another war. Things have been going pretty good, right? The first Iran strike, he went in, threw a couple of bombs, got out. We just went into Venezuela. We were in there hour and a half. You couldn't have even watched the movie in the amount of time they went in there, took this guy out, and left. They were gone. What's going to happen next? That's a good question. However, you've laid down the groundwork for it. This is how we're going to play this. This is what the new. We're shifting, right? We're doing a shift. We're not boots on the ground, staying there for 20 years, getting bogged down in a war, spending trillions of dollars. That seems, I think, for the most part, the administration and the people, even in government, they know that is not going to play well for them going forward. So they have to pivot. They have to do something different. They have to get, if people take Venezuela. Venezuela is a perfect example. That what he just did there rings a bell and puts everybody on notice in the entire world. Especially when it comes to maybe not a China and a Russia, but everybody else that wants to F around, they're going to find out if they don't play ball. So it was it was essentially like it was like a product release. It was like a, you know, it was somebody saying this is our new product. This is what we have here. We can go in, we can go right into the middle of one of your most secure facilities, and we can pluck you out of the air like nothing, bring you back, and throw you in a cell for the next 30 years, a very cold cell with shitty food. Nobody wants to deal with that. So now that that's established, now that you guys have seen the product, seen what can be done, now let's all sit back at the negotiating table and see what we can come up with. That's one of the issues that people have with Venezuela, because they're saying that, oh, he just left it, it's going to be a chaotic mess. Not so sure about that. Not so sure, because guess what happened? Guess what can happen? You could secure yourself as much as you want. And if you're not playing ball and you're being a pain in the ass, guess what? It'll be Maduro 2.0. We'll have an even better version by then. So let's just, we don't want boots on the ground. We don't want to control you left, right, and center. You guys can do whatever you need to do. But if there's somebody there that is very sympathetic to our enemies on the other side of the world, we're not going to let that happen. So I really do think that as much as I struggled with it, I think the way the operation went down could not have been better. If it was going to be done, this is the way it needed to be done, and we got it done. So that's pretty great. This situation, this is a lot messier. Let's be honest. You know, what do we do? Do we provide weapons? Do we provide support? Do we intel? How do we figure this out? Don't know. Let's see what he says.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. I think that President Trump is keeping his options open. As you know, we're moving some forces around, but I think Iran also understands that we struck them from America the last time we had to come there. So I think that President Trump is going to hold them to their promises, and that's why we see these forces.
Love, if President Trump were to order strikes right now, do we have the forces in the region for an extended campaign?
Well, I guess the question is, what would you call an extended campaign? We have forces in the region to keep pressure on Iran, but additional forces would make it much easier.
You see, that right there, that is like a red flag. Do we have forces in there to, like, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that. I mean, you're talking about a very limited faction of neocons on the right. The left doesn't give a shit because, you know, they just believe whatever is anti whatever, you know, anyone on the right wants. So, but you do have, obviously, there is still a strong war faction on the right that, you know, like nobody wants to see boots on the ground. You know, that it's so infuriating to even talk about that.
We're talking stealth fighter jet squadrons. What other air defense? What kind of forces you want to see? The Lincoln Strike
Well,
Group
what we're doing is more than just forces, of course. We're moving some of our forces out of the region in order to take them out of harm's way. Our air defenses are going to be at the highest, and the striking force from America is probably alerted. I do not know, but I'm sure they're getting ready. And the arrival then of a carrier battle group would just flesh out the requirements.
General, as you look at the situation and really game plan it as a general, do you agree with the fact that so many are saying that Iran in this regime has never been weaker at this moment in history?
Well, certainly not in our history, not in recent history. They are in a bad place because the people are rising up. And it's probably the strongest show of force against the regime that we have seen. And so that puts them in a precarious place.
The Abraham Lincoln Strike Group is on its way from the South China Sea over to the Middle East. General, should the Ayatollah be a target?
Well, here's the conundrum. To use force to change the minds of the leaders of the regime, that's a tough job. You tell the military to go in and take away their missiles, go in and take away their defense sites, go in and attack their ports. That's all stuff that we know how to do, and we can make it happen immediately. But to do a strike that changes the minds, the hearts and minds of that evil regime, that's much harder. So I've said more than once, I think that leadership should be considered for the target list.
And who carries that out, the U.S. or Israel?
Well, right now, it's just the United States telling Iran that if they keep up with this horrid actions they're taking, these horrid actions.
You see, if you want to talk about spheres of influence, Iran is an Israeli problem, right? That's their backyard. They're attacking them. That's their issue. if people want to argue back and forth about giving support, this and that, that's fine. I just don't understand why we as a nation have to get ourselves too heavily involved with this stuff going on there. If we want to provide support, stuff like that, like I can understand like helping people out, but I think I don't know. I'm just so over this. I think so many people are so over this that you know, we're taking control of our hemisphere. You guys do your side, we'll take care of our side, and you know, if you shit the bed, then that's kind of on you. Like, I don't understand why we constantly have to be getting involved in these things. It's very frustrating.
Actions that the United States will strike them. I've said also before that this is a world problem. It's not a U.S. problem. What that regime is doing to the people on the streets is horrible. It's inhumane, immoral.
Yeah, but it's like, is it any different than you know than places in Africa? Like you know, like the amount of human rights that are going on the continent of Africa is insane. Like we don't have battle cruisers going over there. So obviously there's something different here. There's a different calculus. There is a different situation in this. Do we want to say that you know, because they are the direct enemies of Israel, that's why? Maybe there's a good chance of that, because there are atrocities that are happening throughout the entire world, and we don't seem to get as heavily involved as we do in the Middle East. The other thing is that now that we've pivoted and we're focusing our attention on Iran, does China now say, oh, now I got a green light to take Taiwan? All this stuff is very, I'm not a big fan of geopolitics because it is kind of outside of my wheelhouse, outside of my competency, if that's how you want to call it. But yeah, it's all these moving chess pieces, it's going to have an effect on other areas, right? Like if we get bogged down in Iran, and you know, the great Tim Dillon just said it, even though I had a disagreement about what he was saying in his previous show. If we get bogged down in Iran, China's definitely taking Taiwan. I mean, that is like a green light. You guys are over there. I'm going to go over here and take care of this. You know, the appetite for this is so low. Like, it doesn't matter how many videos you show us of people getting blown up and stuff like that. Americans are tired of getting involved in other people's nonsense. We're tired of it, especially when it has literally almost zero impact on our side of the world. It's a hard sell. I don't want to be sold it. And illegal, and the whole world should be concerned about it.
We shall see where it goes. General Breedlove, thank you for your insight, as always.
Thanks, General.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was pretty cool. Guys, if you're still here, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you for all the new subs. It's having a lot of fun here. 6283 Talk on the X if you want to follow me on X. But yeah, comment down below. Let me know, like, what am I missing? Is this something that you know, that you guys want to see? I mean, are we talking about like more wars, more boots on the ground, more getting entangled with an area in the Middle East, like a Middle Eastern war? I have to say that I'm going to put a strong bet and say the majority of people are not going to be down with that. But let me know what you think. Thank you so much for coming out. See you again in the next video, guys. Take care.